Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. UNext, empowering million learners in association with CNBC TV18.
Hello and a very warm welcome to our special presentation, Empowering Million Learners. I'm Mugdha Kalra, and today we explore more about the transformative wave sweeping through India's educational landscape. As the nation charts its course to becoming the world's largest economy, the currency of skilled labor has never been more valuable. Recent research indicates that India's GDP could soar up by a staggering 20% with the addition of 100 million skilled workers to its workforce. But it's not just about numbers, it's about equipping this workforce with the skills demanded by the rapidly evolving digital age. From artificial intelligence to blockchain, the skills landscape is shifting, and it's imperative that we keep pace. Recruiters also are no longer fixated on academic degrees alone. They are embracing a skills-based hiring approach, valuing critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, and collaboration. And it is this monumental shift that is calling for a revolution in education, and that's where Education 4.0 comes into play. Today, we'll explore how platforms like UNext Learning are harnessing technology to democratize education, make it accessible, affordable, and outcome-driven for learners from all walks of life. And to tell us more, joining me now, Ambrish Sinha, CEO of UNext Learning. Welcome to the studios, Ambrish. Let me first start by asking you, how has the education landscape changed over a period of time? And I also believe your journey of the last 5 years coincided with COVID and changing an industry and moving from e-commerce to edtech. So tell us all about that and what have your learnings been?
So if you look at education in India, typically can broadly be divided into three segments. One is the K-12, which is your kindergarten to say grade 12. Then you have these stress prep exams for various institutes, etc., which we read about a lot. And then you have the higher education space. Higher education has resonated a lot with people in terms of the online mode of education. And universities and colleges have also gone into a hybrid mode during COVID. They have partnered with tech firms like ours at UNext. We have multiple university partnerships. And we clearly see that this segment is growing by leaps and bounds. The higher education space especially is more resonant with one-on-one learning and online learning because the age demography is very different.
Right.
So I think the way education in India will be, there will be campus-based education of top universities, obviously, and good schools. But in the higher education space, my thesis is very clear that long tail of universities and colleges, drawing on my e-commerce experience, is they will have to evolve rapidly. Otherwise, the students or the learners will move towards online education because online reduces the cost of education. It democratizes education, and it's truly scales up on the power of internet. You know, you don't need to create infrastructure for the learner, but the learner can do it from the comfort of his or her home. And I would say from my experience on our platform, the learners, about 60% of the learners come from about 2,000 plus towns and cities in India.
How interesting.
Yeah. And top 10 cities contribute roughly about 30% to 35% of our learners. And all these learners are online. So it's a powerful tool of transforming India because if we want to reach that goal of $5 trillion economy or more, education is the only way. Today I'm sitting here with you is the power of education.
True. I would want to know why a legacy organization like Manipal thought of UNext as a venture when they are already in the traditional education space. I would want to know what made Manipal think about UNext and what has been UNext's journey since its inception.
In about 2019, 2020, our chairman, Dr. Ranjan Pai, who heads the Manipal Education and the Medical Group, that it's called as the Manipal Group, he was very clear that he wanted to democratize education. We had healthy debates on how to take the legacy of Manipal forward and make education accessible and affordable to large swaths of India and bring the quality of education in the same manner that the way Manipal did it in the campus education about 70, 80 years back. How can we do it in the new world of this millennium, you know? So that's where the whole thing started. Secondly, Ranjan is a very forward-looking leader, and he truly believes in the power of internet, and he's a big investor into a lot of startups. So the idea was to build an edtech platform which leverages the Manipal ecosystem, but does not restrict itself to Manipal ecosystem. So therefore, the idea of UNext, that's an independent edtech platform. It's a two-way marketplace. One side are the university and colleges, Manipal and others. And on the other side are our learners. The learners could be individual learners or enterprise learners. And UNext is a full stack platform bringing the two together.
In your opinion, has also the recruiter mindset changed? Are they looking for people who are moving with the current times and are educating themselves with the changing scenario versus traditional degrees? And also, what is the inside story about ki thappa hona chahiye degree ka?
I think people are looking at skills more. And those skills come in different variety. It could come in partnership with a college or a university, or an edtech platform like ours could curate its own program like we do with our enterprise customers. So in that sense, the recruiters are now clearly seeing, is the student or the learner who's coming through the doors to the company, is he skilled in what they are needing? And that is especially true for IT services, true for these global data development centers that has been hub in India, There you really do not need a very top university degree from a top 5 or a top 10 university to do those jobs. And hence, the recruiters are looking at it differently. And these recruiters also, to take a step back, because they work with foreign clients, ITS services, they are more progressive because they have seen the learning journey of online education, say, of 5 years or a decade earlier than India. So they are more receptive. Indian recruiters also are changing. The second point to that also is that a lot of learners who come on the education platform are also looking to what I say is new to education. They are coming because they dropped out of education due to some reasons, or they are into some small family businesses or small and medium enterprises, And for them, just growing their business by learning online is itself is an outcome. So to your second question, Mugdha, the importance of degree or the chhapa, like you said, or the thappa is very critical. I'll not deny that fact. And therefore, the whole genesis of UNext that we are connecting the university to the learner and taking the university online. And that is very, very critical because I think, see, education is a thing in which you pay the fees now, but you're learning over 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, and you can't opt back. How many people do you know who have done 2 BBAs or 3 MBAs? You can't do that. It's a episodic event once in your life. And hence the trust has to come. And the university or the colleges, and especially like the ones that we associate with, like the Manipal group, brings that element of trust to the learner. And for the learner feels that if I get this education through an edtech platform in partnership with the university, this will help me not only in my career, but long-term higher education prospects. If I want to go abroad, I want to take a segue into some other field, this degree will be recognized. So that is a very critical element, and a lot of people on our platform also come because of that association.
So the degree and the affiliation and recognition is widely accepted?
Yes, it has to be widely accepted by various bodies in India. In India, 2 are the large bodies, UGC and AICTE. And then there is WES and many others international accreditations that we work with so that the learner is not shortchanged. Tomorrow he should not feel that I spent this amount of money and time. More than money, the time I feel is very important. And I'm not getting the right outcome out of it, both in terms of the trust-based certificate that I have got or any other outcome.
Is that what you will say, Ambrish, sets you aside from all the other players in the market?
So we are like a tech provider. We are a tech company, to be honest. In fact, in EdTech, we are more tech than ed. And therefore, we ensure that all our university partners that we work with, it is their name, their brand, which is reaching out to the learners. And the learner is in touch with the university directly through our platform.
I always wondered, I think one of the reasons for the move to edtech platforms also is the fact that in traditional education, the curriculums are not changing at all. At least what you are getting to learn on edtech platforms is more cutting edge.
Yeah, that's true. See, because you are using the power of technology to curate content. Suppose there are courses that we do with enterprise customers where we have no university or college affiliation, but we build that content through our team of academicians and subject matter experts. And there we clearly see what is happening today, like say generative AI. Now it's a buzzword.
Right.
Everybody is talking about it, right? But we have been able to put together content in 3 months of time on all the platforms that are currently available, what is prompt engineering, etc. Now, as you rightly said, this will take some time for a campus-based education to inculcate in its curriculum. And there are reasons for it, because they are recognized, you know, there are regulated bodies which have to attest to it. So it takes time. So EdTech platforms do bring in that element of recency in terms of cutting edge or emerging technologies like data science, machine learning, business analytics, Gen AI. So there, yes. And that's why the ecosystem is developing rapidly, and people are looking at EdTech platforms for their skilling and upskilling journeys.
I want to talk about the tech behind it, but after a short break.
Sure, sure. Thanks.
So time now for a very short break. We will be back soon to discuss more on Education 4.0 and UNext's journey, so stay tuned.
UNext, empowering million learners in association with CNBC TV18. UNext, empowering million learners in association with CNBC TV18.
Welcome back. You're watching Empowering Million Learners, where I'm in conversation with CEO of UNext Learning, Ambrish Sinha. Ambrish, before we took a break, I wanted to speak to you about the tech. Now, so many learners coming from the geographies that you mentioned. How do you design a tech platform which A, can speak to everyone, and also how does it take the load of so many learners together?
When UNext started, there was EdTech there. It's not that we were the first guys who started an online platform. So clearly we evaluated the technologies that were available, but we always knew that since our mission is around empowering learners across India and especially making it affordable and accessible, we thought that the tech behind our learning management system is the core, you know. It's like LMS is equivalent to the campus, right? You're coming in the campus, here you're coming on the learning management platform.
Right.
Now this has to be form factor agnostic. By form factor, I mean whether the learner is learning on mobile or he's learning on a tablet or a laptop or a desktop, he should be able to see the thing seamlessly and also move from one device to another seamlessly. You know, a person who doesn't have many devices can learn on one.
Yeah.
But somebody like you and me, maybe we watch 20 minutes on the mobile and then we go and look at the iPad like in front of you, and then we immediately sync there. So we decided to build our own learning management system, learning from the best what was there in the market and also curating it to our needs. Plus we do a lot of partnerships with the universities, so the content is long form content. It could be 1 year, it could be 2 years. So how to keep the student engaged? So therefore we have built like a learning path for each learner, and that is unique to UNext on the tech front. So it's like the way you navigate going from, like say, this studio to the airport. It reduces your anxiety of travel, a Google map or any maps that you are using, you know. So our learning management system reduces that anxiety for the learner, that this course is not that long. And even if it's a short course, how do you keep yourself focused? So all these elements of the consumer behavior that we learned, or the learner behavior, I would say, helped us develop our LMS. It took us about 12 to 18 months. And today I'm happy to say it's the learners are happy, our NPS scores are quite good.
Nice.
And that gives me a lot of confidence that, like we say, empowering million learners. There's no problem if those all learners are on the UNext platform.
How are you catering to people who have to learn technology also from a scratch and then of course get on an ed platform?
So it's, the technology is very intuitive today, you know, like you look at the whole thing about people creating reels and consuming content.
That has changed the game altogether.
And what has happened, that has elevated the tech experience for even a novice who just has a mobile device, because he's able to do, say, a Facebook or an Insta reel. Now he wants that in his education delivery system also.
That's true.
So a large amount of our investments go in that, so that we make it so intuitive for the learner, wherever it is coming from, and is able to learn quite easily and effectively on the platform. So the outcomes are created for the learner.
One of the challenges facing the education sector is, of course, the low gross enrollment rate, the GER.
Yeah.
People sitting in cities think that it is so difficult to get into a college, that means everybody is coming to a college, right? But it is actually revelation for a lot of people who are watching, and that, you know, the GER rate in India is actually low. The government is trying to also push ed platforms. How is that working together, and what is the mandate there?
So I think like the first point that we spoke about, like the economy growing, upskilling and all, so education is the key to that. And as you rightly said, our gross enrollment ratios are currently around 27-28% as per the last, I think, the higher education report which the government published. And the endeavor is to take it sooner than later to 50%, you know, and the government is working very closely with the university ecosystem of offline campuses as well as edtech platforms.
Right.
And I think edtech platforms can do a human service in this to take this education to masses. If you look at competing India-like economies with the same kind of GDP, like we are now the top 5 economy in the world, but our GER ratio is among the lowest. So there's a huge work that needs to be done, and I think technology is the way to take it forward. Like we are talking about this digital public infrastructure, like we have taken online payments to the lowest common denominator in the society. I think with edtech platforms, my vision is that can we of course increase this gross enrollment ratios, but not in a way that you're just putting a degree in the hand of the individual, but also putting education in the hand, so he's empowered and there is an outcome from him or her. So yes, as you rightly said, this top 10 cities, we feel that everybody has access to education. I realized it because I was not coming from an education background and more of a financial services background. It was a revelation to me that a lot of learners are seeing education for the first time because of online.
You know, I think edtech platforms are also a game changer for women, and I do a lot of work in the gender space, and I've realized that women taking breaks, career breaks, you are caretaking, you are caregiving, you are for some reason taking a backseat and sitting at home. But if you have at that point in time to upskill yourself, you feel that, you know, that time is not lost.
Yeah.
So a lot of women I can relate with it, why they would want to be on edtech platforms.
Yeah, true. And we see that continuously happening. And like at least in some cohorts or programs, I also see that women learners are more engaged on our platform than the other gender. So that's also in a good way, I think. Yeah.
All right, Ambrish, I wanted to speak to you about you know, how UNext is operating in both B2C and B2B space. So tell us more about the offerings there, and it's interesting to see how companies are now coming to edtech platforms and saying that, you know, design something for our workforce because we don't have time to upskill them individually, but, you know, if somebody with more expertise is there, why not use that model? So tell us more about that as well.
Yeah, so clearly, so when UNext was formed, we always knew that there will be a large cohort of learners and a large set of learners who will come individually. What is your B2C segment, right? They are coming directly on our platform and enrolling in various degrees, certification programs or short-term programs. But we also knew that a large part of our professional upskilling and reskilling piece will come with our engagement with our enterprise partners. And therefore, early on in the UNext journey itself, we started engaging with large corporates, whether in the IT, ITS services space, BFSI and others, which
Can you give me an example?
So like, I'll not quote the client, but client, one of the large client in the IT space is one of our biggest enterprise customers. And there we have designed AI programs for them, for their global workforce. Of course, in partnership with their L&D team, the learning and development team of the corporate, they have given us some guidelines. And our teams of academic had developed this. And these are we call as shorter term programs like boot camps, you know, where people can devote some part of their time during their work to ensure that they complete this course. And that in this, typically this is done in partnership with corporates. There is a second segment also where we work, where we get the university partnerships also there, which is a little longer, because in that case, it's like more like retention tool for the employees of the organization, that you are now working not only with an edtech platform, which is working with the enterprise, but also a university partner, which is adding more academic heft and credibility and credentials to that boot camp or a pre-joining program or any kind of a certification program. So I'm telling you, like corporates today completely everybody is talking about lifelong learning. You know, I know you know yourself, like in tech, this is a buzzword, lifelong learning, but I'm clearly seeing that the employee himself is engaged now.
Yeah.
15 years back when I was in financial services, these programs, when they used to come, you know, we used to like, it has to be just done.
Yeah.
But now, but now employees are asking for it.
Yeah.
Recently, for UNext employees itself, we have done a 3-day intervention with one of the top universities in India, you know, to go them and upskill them on the new content development strategies, on the new tech ecosystem that is developing for learning outcomes, learning pathways. So yeah, I think that space is just going to grow.
Yeah, because
exponentially.
in fact, a lot of companies who are now embracing tech, whether it is supply chain management, logistics, machine learning, everywhere where AI is also now coming in. But to work with AI, you need to train your human resource to be able to understand. And that's the reason why this population is also asking, it's also fear of losing jobs and losing capabilities, but you know, they're also wanting to learn that, you know, how can I better understand this and be relevant still to the company. So I guess like that strata also is now wanting to upskill themselves in a big way.
True, I think that that what you said about the fear of AI taking away jobs. So first you have to upskill to know what generative AI is. We are still very, very far away from general AI, but generative AI, yes, is easy. And I believe that this technology is going to be transformative. But I would say professions will be lost and not jobs. New professions will emerge and people will still have
That's a good
jobs.
way of putting it. Yeah.
You know, and so that I do not believe too much in that fear psychosis. You know, we as a species are resilient. I have a young daughter and I have seen how she, you know, adapts to things. So I'm sure we'll survive this also.
Before I let you go, what are the next 5-year plans for UNext?
So yeah, the journey has been exhilarating, Mugdha, in the last 4 years for us. Our early estimates of where the platform could be, we are ahead of those numbers. We have close to 125,000 learners as we end this financial year. The revenues also are much higher than our expectations, I would say. And the next 5 years, yes, as the segment says here, would love to have 1 million learners on the UNext platform. That's our ambition, that's our vision, and we are working towards it.
Fantastic. Wishing you all the very best.
Thank
and thank you for all the wonderful insights, Ambrish.
Thank you, Mugdha. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot.
All right, with that, it's a wrap on Empowering Million Learners. Education 4.0 is a learner-centric revolution that's redefining the future of education and preparing students for the demands of Industry 4.0. And we are glad that more options are available to learners of all ages, all demographies, and all needs. Thank you for watching.
UNext, empowering million learners in association with CNBC TV18. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.